Most people think a hug is just arms and seconds. That mistake silently kills attraction before it even has a chance to grow. When done with intention, a simple embrace can trigger comfort, curiosity, and desire at the same time, and almost nobody knows how to do it correctly. If this makes sense so far, hit like and subscribe right now because the next part is where most people unknowingly sabotage attraction without realizing it. The first principle is approach with stillness, and this is where most people fail without realizing it because they confuse confidence with speed or intensity. Stillness is not about moving slowly for the sake of it. It is about having full control over your body before you even make contact. The human nervous system is constantly scanning for cues of safety or unpredictability, and rapid movements, tense shoulders, shallow breathing, or fidgeting all signal inner uncertainty. When you approach calmly with relaxed shoulders, an upright spine, and steady breathing, your body communicates emotional regulation. This matters because emotional regulation is unconsciously associated with leadership, maturity, and trust. The brain reads stillness as someone who does not need to rush, prove, or grab the moment. Before the embrace, there should be a brief moment where your body is completely settled, feet planted, weight balanced, chest open but not puffed, arms relaxed at your sides. This grounding transfers. Neuroscience shows that people subconsciously mirror breathing and muscle tone during close proximity. So if you are calm, that calm is felt. Stillness also creates contrast. In a world where interactions are rushed and distracted, a composed approach stands out immediately. It creates a feeling of being fully present, which is rare and emotionally powerful. The key is not to lean forward eagerly or close distance abruptly. Instead, let the space close naturally, as if the hug is a natural outcome rather than a goal. Your face should remain neutral or softly warm, never eager or seeking approval. Even a fraction of tension in the jaw or hands can be felt during close contact. Stillness also sets the emotional frame. It silently says, you are comfortable with closeness and equally comfortable without it. That balance is what creates attraction because it removes pressure. When you move from stillness into the embrace, the transition feels intentional rather than reactive. This signals that the moment is chosen, not accidental. People feel safer and more drawn to those who choose moments deliberately instead of being pulled by impulse, because the body trusts calm control more than excitement driven by nervous energy. And when that trust is established before contact, everything that follows is felt more deeply and interpreted more positively by the subconscious mind, setting the tone for connection without force or urgency and allowing desire to grow naturally rather than being pushed into existence through speed or intensity or verbal reassurance or overcompensation or hesitation driven by internal noise or the fear of missing the moment. The second principle is timing, specifically the brief pause before contact. And this small moment carries far more psychological weight than most people understand. That half second of pause right before the embrace is not hesitation, it is intention. The human brain is wired to notice transitions, and the space between approach and touch is where meaning is assigned. When someone moves directly from approach into contact without a pause, the interaction feels automatic, rushed, or driven by need. A controlled pause, even one that lasts less than a second, signals awareness and choice. It tells the nervous system that the moment is being consciously entered rather than unconsciously reacted to. This creates anticipation, and anticipation is one of the strongest emotional amplifiers in attraction. During that pause, Both bodies register what is about to happen. Breathing subtly synchronizes, attention sharpens, and emotional focus increases. This is why the pause feels powerful even though it is short. It allows the other person's brain to lean forward emotionally before the body does physically. From a behavioral standpoint, people feel more valued when moments are marked rather than rushed. The pause says this connection matters enough to be felt fully. It also demonstrates self control. Self control is deeply associated with confidence and social intelligence because it shows you are not driven by impulse. Importantly, the pause must feel natural, not stiff or dramatic. Your posture stays relaxed, your breathing stays calm, and your expression remains steady. The pause should feel like a quiet acknowledgement of closeness, not a test or a freeze. This moment also reduces resistance. When people are given a micro moment to emotionally consent to closeness, their body relaxes into it instead of bracing. That relaxation is what makes the embrace feel warmer and more genuine. Timing also communicates leadership without dominance. You are guiding the rhythm of the interaction, but gently. The pause becomes a silent cue that says you are present, grounded, and aware of shared space. When the embrace follows, it feels earned rather than assumed, and that difference is felt instantly at a subconscious level, shaping how the entire interaction is remembered because the brain does not remember the length of moments as much as it remembers how they made it feel, and the pause is what gives the moment emotional shape rather than letting it blur into background noise or habitual motion driven by urgency or fear of silence or overthinking or the need to rush toward reassurance. The third principle is pressure. And this is where intention becomes physical and instantly readable by the nervous system. Pressure is not about strength, squeezing, or holding tightly. It is about consistency and balance. The human body interprets uneven or excessive pressure as uncertainty or need, while steady and measured pressure is read as presence. When contact feels balanced, both sides of the body receive the same level of engagement. The chest remains relaxed, the arms guide rather than clamp, and the hands rest with purpose instead of gripping. This communicates emotional stability. In behavioral terms, the brain associates steady pressure with reliability and safety because it mirrors how regulated people interact with the world. Too light feels hesitant, too strong feels controlling, but intentional pressure feels grounded. This is why pressure should come from relaxed arms and a stable core rather than tense hands or shoulders. Tension travels fast through touch. If the forearms are tight or the shoulders are raised, the body immediately reads stress. When the arms are relaxed and the contact is even, the body relaxes in response. Another key factor is responsiveness. Pressure should subtly adapt rather than stay rigid. The nervous system notices micro adjustments, and these adjustments signal awareness. Stillness does not mean stiffness, it means calm responsiveness. Pressure also communicates boundaries. Balanced contact says closeness is welcome but not forced. That balance creates trust, and trust is the foundation of attraction. People lean into what feels safe and intentional. From a psychological standpoint, touch that feels intentional activates oxytocin without triggering defense mechanisms. This only happens when pressure is predictable and respectful. Predictability does not mean boring, it means emotionally readable. The body prefers what it can understand. When pressure is consistent, the moment feels contained rather than overwhelming. This containment is powerful because it allows emotion to deepen instead of spike and collapse. Many people mistakenly think more pressure equals more feeling, but in reality, more pressure often equals more anxiety. The goal is to create a physical signal that says nothing is being taken and nothing is being rushed. When pressure is right, the embrace feels calm, present, and memorable because the nervous system does not have to protect itself or guess intent. It simply settles into the moment and registers it as emotionally positive and meaningful rather than confusing or draining or tense or overstimulating or forgettable or driven by insecurity or urgency or the need to prove something or fear of losing connection. The fourth principle is the release. And this is the part that decides how the entire moment is remembered because the brain prioritizes endings over duration. Most people hold on too long because they are chasing reassurance, comfort, or validation, and without realizing it, they reverse the emotional polarity. When you release first, calmly and without hesitation, you signal abundance and self-trust. The nervous system reads this as confidence because you are not clinging to the moment. A clean release tells the body that connection is welcome but not needed for emotional stability. This creates a subtle emotional pull rather than emotional saturation. From a psychological perspective, the mind responds more strongly to moments that end slightly early than moments that fade out slowly. Ending early creates a sense of unfinished emotional energy, and unfinished energy naturally draws attention forward. The release should be smooth and unhurried, not abrupt or apologetic. Arms loosen naturally, posture stays upright, breathing remains steady, and there is no verbal justification for ending the embrace. Words dilute the effect. Silence keeps the emotional imprint intact. When the release is confident, the other nervous system does not feel rejected. It feels respected. Respect is attractive because it communicates awareness of boundaries. Boundaries signal strength, not distance. Another important factor is emotional neutrality. The release should not be followed by checking reactions, seeking eye contact too intensely, or changing behavior to gauge approval. Those behaviors instantly signal need. Instead, return to a calm, grounded state as if the embrace was one meaningful moment among many, not the peak of your emotional experience. This reinforces the message that closeness is natural and repeatable, not rare or fragile. Neurologically, the brain stores emotional memory based on contrast, and the contrast between warmth and controlled release sharpens recall. This is why people remember how something ended more vividly than how it began. Ending first also places you in the role of emotional leader. You are guiding the rhythm without force. Leadership in emotional moments increases attraction because it reduces uncertainty. Uncertainty creates tension, but guided rhythm creates ease. The release becomes a signal that you are comfortable with connection and equally comfortable stepping away from it. That balance is what creates intrigue. It allows desire to grow internally rather than being externally pushed. When the embrace ends with calm certainty, the body associates you with emotional regulation, safety, and quiet confidence, and those qualities linger long after physical contact ends, shaping how the moment is replayed, interpreted, and emotionally weighted in memory without needing explanation, reassurance, or continued physical contact, or verbal framing, or justification, or follow-up pressure, or emotional chasing, or hesitation, or overstaying, or overcompensating, or trying to extract meaning from the moment. The fifth principle is breath control and internal state regulation, because touch communicates what words cannot hide. Before and during the embrace, Breathing patterns silently dictate how the moment is interpreted. Shallow, fast breathing signals anxiety or excitement that is unstable, while slow, deep breathing signals grounded presence. The nervous system automatically syncs with the strongest rhythm in close proximity, so the calmer pattern leads. This is not theory, it is biology. When breathing is slow and steady, heart rate lowers, muscle tone softens, and the body feels safe without needing explanation. Safety is the gateway emotion that allows attraction to surface. Without it, the body stays guarded. The key is breathing from the diaphragm rather than the chest. Chest breathing lifts the shoulders and tightens the neck, which translates into tension through contact. Diaphragmatic breathing keeps the torso relaxed and grounded, allowing the embrace to feel stable instead of restless. Another important element is consistency. Breathing should remain unchanged before, during, and after the moment. A sudden change in breath during contact signals emotional spike or uncertainty, and that spike is felt instantly. Calm consistency communicates emotional control. Emotional control is often misinterpreted as emotional distance, but in reality, it creates space for connection because it removes pressure. Breath also affects micro movements. When breathing is steady, movements are smoother and more predictable. Predictability is not boring, it is reassuring. The nervous system prefers what it can read easily. When breathing is controlled, there is no accidental tightening, jerking, or shifting. The moment feels contained. Containment allows emotion to deepen rather than scatter. Another overlooked aspect is silence paired with breath. Silence combined with calm breathing amplifies presence. Words pull attention outward, breath pulls attention inward. In close contact, inward focus is what makes the moment feel intimate rather than social. Breath control also prevents overinvestment. When breathing stays calm, the body does not emotionally chase the moment. This reinforces abundance. Abundance is felt, not claimed. From a psychological angle, people are drawn to those whose internal state feels settled because it promises emotional stability. Emotional stability is rare, and rarity increases value. When breath is controlled, the body becomes an anchor rather than a question. The embrace then feels like a shared pause in time instead of a grab for reassurance. That pause leaves a deeper imprint because the nervous system remembers regulation as comfort and comfort as attraction and attraction as something that grows quietly rather than something that needs to be forced, explained, or accelerated, or verbalized, or intensified, or justified, or extended, or repeated out of fear of losing the moment. The sixth principle is post contact orientation, meaning what your body and attention do immediately after the embrace ends, because this silent moment often carries more meaning than the contact itself. Most people ruin the effect by lingering mentally even after the body has disengaged. They hover, look for reactions, adjust posture nervously, or shift energy forward as if waiting for approval. The nervous system reads this instantly as need. Instead, the body should return to a neutral, grounded orientation as if nothing urgent just happened. This does not mean coldness or distance, it means emotional self-possession. After release, your posture remains tall and relaxed, shoulders loose, head level, gaze soft but not searching. Attention moves outward rather than locking onto the other person. This outward orientation signals abundance. It communicates that connection is welcomed but not clung to. Psychologically, people are more drawn to those who can experience closeness without losing their center. Losing center creates emotional gravity that pulls too hard. Keeping center creates curiosity. Another critical element is eye behavior. Eye contact should be brief and natural or even delayed rather than immediate and intense. Immediate, intense eye contact after touch often signals emotional checking. Delayed or casual eye contact signals certainty. Certainty lowers pressure. Lower pressure increases attraction. The body should also re engage with the environment smoothly. A small shift of stance, a calm step back into personal space, or a relaxed turn of the torso tells the nervous system that closeness did not destabilize you. This matters because emotional stability is contagious. People unconsciously trust those who remain the same before and after intimate moments. Consistency equals safety. Safety allows desire to surface. From a behavioral science perspective, the brain associates emotional leadership with those who guide transitions smoothly. Transitions are where insecurity leaks. If transitions are calm, the mind relaxes. Another mistake is verbal filler after the embrace. Nervous words break the emotional imprint. Silence preserves it. Silence lets the nervous system process the moment internally instead of being pulled back into social performance. When orientation stays grounded and attention is not chasing validation, the other person is left holding the emotional residue of the moment without being asked to define it. Undefined emotional residue is powerful because the mind naturally seeks to complete open loops. This is how attraction grows without pressure. The body says connection is available and repeatable, not scarce or fragile. When post contact orientation is calm and self directed, the entire interaction feels intentional from beginning to end, and that intentionality is remembered as confidence rather than technique or manipulation or strategy or performance or effort or calculation or need or anxiety or urgency or expectation. The seventh principle is emotional congruence, meaning the internal state matches the external behavior, because the nervous system can detect mismatch instantly. When actions are calm but the internal state is anxious, excited, or outcome focused, the body leaks that tension through microsignals like jaw tightness, uneven pressure, restless shifting, or subtle breath disruption. These signals break trust even if everything else is done correctly. Congruence is about giving yourself internal permission to be fully present without needing a specific result. When there is no internal agenda, the body moves naturally and the moment feels authentic rather than strategic. Authenticity is not a moral concept here, it is a biological one. The brain relaxes when signals align. Alignment creates ease. Ease creates attraction. Emotional congruence begins before contact, not during it. If the internal narrative is focused on impressing, being liked, or making something happen, the body becomes future focused instead of present. Presence disappears. The nervous system senses absence immediately. To stay congruent, attention should be placed on physical sensations rather than outcomes. Weight through the feet, breath moving slowly, shoulders loose, awareness of space. This anchors the mind in the body. When the mind is anchored, the body leads naturally. Another aspect of congruence is emotional neutrality. Neutrality does not mean lack of feeling, it means emotional steadiness. Steadiness communicates strength. Strength communicates safety. Safety allows desire to exist without defense. Emotional spikes, even positive ones, create instability. Instability creates caution. Congruence also means being comfortable with any outcome. If closeness increases, the body stays calm. If closeness does not increase, the body stays calm. This removes pressure. Pressure is the enemy of attraction. When pressure disappears, curiosity replaces it. Curiosity pulls people forward internally without being pushed externally. From a psychological perspective, people trust those whose emotional center does not move with every interaction. That trust creates space. Space allows longing to form. Another subtle element is self-respect. Emotional congruence signals self respect because behavior is not adjusted to extract validation. Validation seeking collapses polarity, self respect restores it. When internal state and external behavior align, the moment feels clean. Clean moments are remembered positively because the nervous system does not have to resolve confusion. Confusion drains energy. Clarity energizes. Congruence leaves the other nervous system with a clear emotional impression rather than mixed signals. That clarity becomes comfort. Comfort becomes intrigue. And intrigue grows quietly without effort, explanation, or escalation, or reassurance, or verbal framing, or chasing, or hesitation, or self correction, or second guessing, or emotional noise, or internal bargaining, or attachment to outcome. The eighth principle is micro timing and flow, which is about how small, almost imperceptible adjustments during the embrace shape the emotional memory of the moment. Attraction is not built in long conversations or dramatic gestures. It is built in subtle rhythm and pacing. The nervous system is constantly reading patterns, and tiny variations in speed, tension, and movement convey more than words ever could. Micro timing starts from the very approach and continues through the pause, the contact, the pressure, and the release. Every slight shift, the way arms settle, the tilt of the torso, the momentary adjustment of posture, sends a signal of awareness, intention, and confidence. Human brains are wired to detect rhythm in touch. When rhythm is predictable and responsive, it creates calm. When rhythm is erratic or rushed, it triggers uncertainty and resistance. The flow of an embrace should feel like a quiet dance rather than a rigid sequence. This does not mean overthinking or choreographing. It means listening with the body. Adjustments should be subtle and natural, responding to the other nervous system while maintaining your own emotional center. For example, a micro shift in weight can subtly guide the other body into comfort without verbal instruction. A tiny release of pressure can signal safety without breaking engagement. Slightly tilting or leaning into space can communicate presence without dominating. Flow also extends to timing the end of contact. Exiting a moment slightly before expectation is a micro-timing strategy that amplifies intrigue. The brain remembers contrast, and flow creates contrast between anticipation, contact, and release. Another critical aspect is synchronization of breath and movement. Even if not consciously noticed, breathing that matches the rhythm of motion reinforces emotional resonance. Micro timing is essentially the difference between a moment that is remembered and one that is forgotten. Most people focus on duration, strength, or verbal reinforcement, but the subtle orchestration of rhythm, response, and release imprints far deeper. When executed naturally, micro timing allows the embrace to feel alive, dynamic, and emotionally potent without seeming forced or calculated. It transforms a simple act of contact into a memory that lingers because the body perceives leadership, presence, and awareness in the smallest shifts, creating desire that grows quietly and unconsciously long after the moment has ended, without words, effort, or overt intensity, leaving a lasting impression because flow is remembered more than anything else.